I tried everything to find fulfillment. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I had gotten drunk for the first time, and I had smoked weed for the first time when I was 12. Drugs, alcohol, girls, video games, witchcraft, experimenting with hallucinogens. I was trying to find desperately something that would give me meaning. And I was looking for meaning in places where the world told me it would be. It consistently fell short. Last on the list is where God was. I simply didn't want it to be the answer. Some of it was probably pride also, because I had spent so many years railing against God and declaring him to be false. I was at that time pretty aggressively atheist. So any of spiritual ideas were just kind of silly to me. The irony of being in the world is that you think that you're free. I did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and you think that that's good, that that's freedom, that that's fulfilling. But you're a slave to sin. You're a slave to your flesh. And I was a slave. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed partying and doing all the things that I thought would fill me. It would not be an implement of the devil if it wasn't appealing or satisfying in some way. They just weren't enough. None of them had the substance that I was looking for. None of them had the power that I was looking for. And you can be in denial about it, running out, which is then when you really become a true addict, is when you know it's not doing anything for you and you keep doing it anyway. I needed more escape. I needed more comfort. I needed more validation. I needed more love, and I couldn't find it in any meaningful way. So some friends of mine invited me to a New Year's Eve party, and they were going to be doing ecstasy. And I had never done ecstasy, so I thought, yeah, that sounds fun. The drugs were taking way more of an effect than I had anticipated, and I started to become very scared. I was convinced in my mind that I was going to die because of how much I had taken, and I thought I was going to overdose and die in this party house. Because of that, I thought, well, if I died tonight, I would be condemned. And that was terrifying. It was utterly terrifying. I can't describe to you the level of terror and sheer horror at that fact. What I realized at that point was that I had ruined my life, and I had made all these mistakes, and I had all these opportunities, and they were all trashed. And God used that moment to tell me, yes, you have sinned, and these things are real. And the remedy to that is Jesus. You know, obviously I didn't die, and the drugs wore off. It took a little while for me to kind of come full circle, but one day I was in my apartment, in my basement, and just feeling at the end of my rope. I had nothing left, and I kind of splashed my face with water and looked in the mirror and was just talking to myself. And then it just sort of started turning into a prayer. And I just started talking to the Lord, and I said, God, I don't know if you're real, but if you are who you say you are, then when you died on the cross, that wasn't just for the world. It wasn't just a story. It wasn't just this idea, but when you died on the cross, that was for me, this guy, that you were thinking specifically of me, however many years in advance that I would be here, and you chose me, and you put yourself on that cross for me specifically, this person, this heart, to save this soul. And I believe that. And it was at that moment that I felt him enter my heart. I just started devouring the Bible. That's all I did, was just read the Bible and just get my entire worldview rebuilt. I was so ready to just let him take control because I ruined everything. I was so ready to let him take the reins and guide me. And he did. Step by step, day by day, following him, reading about him. He was faithful through every step of it. And there were so many things about my life and behaviors that I had that started to fall off very quickly. I had no desire for them anymore because they all led to death. And now I have life. All these things that Jesus talks about are explaining why nothing was giving me life or giving me satisfaction or giving me fulfillment or peace. It's because none of it was meant to. Understanding the cross now and my forgiveness, he came down off of his throne to take our place. The totally undeserved, unwarranted grace of God it's mind-blowing. When I was at my absolute lowest, the worst that I had ever been, the worst I had behaved, the worst things that I had ever done, God reached down and said, I want you. No one's too far away. No one's too far gone. You're not too unworthy. As I started to grow in my faith, very quickly after I met my now wife, and now have 2 kids, and something that I never could have imagined. I would have healthy, happy kids with a healthy, happy marriage. Plum Creek has been pivotal in my personal journey with God. There was hope and healing and community here. I'm serving right now with the high school students. My heart with that is to just provide guidance to kids who need it. Jesus says that he's the resurrection and the life. Not only do we have this guarantee that our souls will be saved, but we have the wonderful counselor, Prince of Peace, the great physician, the great I am, to go with us through life. That we have this rich, full life, though it will be filled with trial and occasional suffering and difficulty, he's there with us the whole time. You know, my life it's far from perfect. It's flawed, I make mistakes, I make bad decisions still, but having the peace and confidence that God is with me is everything.